Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 8 Part 29 based on novel. So let's start. A silent atmosphere enveloped the mountain top. Countless pairs of stunned and uncertain eyes looked over from all directions. Finally, they gathered on the skinny young man who had stepped forward. Junior brother Lin Dong, don't be reckless. Pang Tong and the rest were startled, before they hurriedly cried out. Although Lin Dong's previous battle with Qing Yi had thoroughly conquered them, Wang Yang was not someone whom Qing Yi could compare with. Even someone as powerful as Ying Xiaoxiao was defeated by him. Therefore, although Lin Dong was powerful, what could he do against Wang Yang? Lin Dong shrugged his shoulders somewhat helplessly at them. He did not want to fight with a ruthless person like Wang Yang, who had similarly experienced countless life and death battles. However, he had no other choice in the current situation. Lin Dong did not intend to play hero. However, he was also a disciple of the Dao sect. He did not want to see his sect, which he had some good feelings for, end up suffering a heavy loss because of Wang Yang's reckless decisions. Perhaps, he did not wish to see the usually lively young lady, the same adorable girl who infused color into the dull training lives of many disciples, to be so heart-achingly devastated. Of course, he knew that he was not the only one who had such thoughts. From the shattered arena, Ying Xiaoxiao and Ying Huanhuan stared at Lin Dong in shock. The latter bit her lip and hesitated for a moment, before speaking. Lin Dong, don't mess around, he is very strong. Is there any other choice? Lin Dong glanced at her and laughed. Ying Huanhuan was quiet. At this moment, Ying Xiaoxiao had also stood up. She stared at Lin Dong deeply, before softly speaking, do your best and be careful. She was aware that amongst the current disciples in the Dao sect, the only other person who could stop Wang Yang was perhaps Lin Dong, who had yet to reveal his true fighting strength since the start. Although she was aware that Wang Yang was ferocious, Lin Dong might be the only one who could contend with him. Lin Dong gently nodded. His body moved and landed on the stage. His eyes looked directly at the figure carrying a black broadsword a short distance away. You are not my match. Wang Yang's footsteps also stopped at this moment, however, he did not turn around. Only a hoarse and indifferent voice sounded out. Regardless, I should still try, right? Lin Dong said with a grin. Wang Yang's body paused. A moment later, he finally slowly turned around, and stared intently at Lin Dong. His eyes were as sharp as blades, while a fearsome and menacing aura once again spread out from within his body. However, Lin Dong's expression did not change in the face of Wang Yang's menacing and evil aura. Instead, a slight trace of chilliness climbed up upon his smiling face. He was different from ordinary Dao sect disciples. Wang Yang might have experienced countless life and death battles, but Lin Dong had similarly climbed out from a pile of corpses. No one knew how many life and death battles he had experienced over the years. Therefore, Wang Yang must be mistaken if he believed that he could intimidate Lin Dong with his aura. Wang Yang looked straight at Lin Dong. The chilliness that had rose up on the latter's face caused a trace of surprise to flash across his eyes. He remained silent for a moment, before speaking, since you insist, we will do as you say. However, I shall say the same thing I had said earlier. I will not hold back in a fight. What a coincidence, me too. Lin Dong grinned and said. After which, his eyes turned towards the seats on the tall stage. Seeing Lin Dong look over, Chen Zhen, Ji Lei and the other hall chiefs also turned to face each other. Finally, they looked towards Ying Xuanzi. Ying Xuanzi's ocean-like eyes stared at Lin Dong. A moment later, he appeared to laugh softly, before he gently nodded. Chen Zhen and the rest sighed in relief after seeing Ying Xuanzi nod. The latter stood up. His eyes swept over the entire place as he spoke in a low and deep voice, this match will be the final one, and the victor will be the final champion. At the same time, he will also possess the authority to command the disciples during the great sect competition. If you are both ready, let the fight begin. After Chen Zhen's last few words faded, the atmosphere of the place suddenly froze. However, the frozen atmosphere merely lasted for a couple of breaths. Soon after, a shockingly baleful aura suddenly erupted from the stage. One could only watch as Wang Yang's body transformed into an afterimage. With his broadsword in his hand, his body shot forward in a straight line and ferociously pierced at Lin Dong's throat with surprising speed. When Wang Yang made his move, the long cautious Lin Dong's eyes hardened. His foot stomped on the ground as majestic green light swept out from within his body. Both his arms immediately wiggled and transformed into savage and mighty green dragon arms. His palm clenched as a black tree trunk appeared in a flash. Green light surged on his arms, while the strength within his body poured out. In the end, he furiously hacked downwards with the black metal-like tree. Clang! The broadsword and black tree suddenly collided in an instant, as sharp gales swept apart. The green scales on Lin Dong's arms flashed wildly, blocking the force that encroached upon his body. The next moment, his eyes turned cold. His left foot stepped forward and his body made a half-twist, while his right leg swung out like a whip. Bang! Green light surged on Lin Dong's leg as it swung out like a whip and transformed into a green dragon foot. Accompanied by an indescribably wild and violent strength, it ruthlessly swung towards Wang Yang's chest. The force from Lin Dong's kick was extremely terrifying. Previously, Jing Yi's defenses had been completely obliterated by such a kick. Even his heavenly soul treasure was forcefully sent flying back into the latter's body. It was obvious that Lin Dong did not plan to take it slow. The first strike was already extremely fearsome. He knew that any warm-up or probing was completely useless against a fearsome opponent like Wang Yang. Lin Dong's leg swung outwards. The frightening strength tore the air and ground apart as it fell towards Wang Yang's chest at lightning speed. A deep and piercing rushing wind sound could be heard. A fierce glint gathered within Wang Yang's eyes. He had similarly sensed the great strength from Lin Dong's kick and had no intentions of underestimating it. If someone like him adopted such a mindset, it was likely that he would have died countless times. Black killing fist? Wang Yang's broadsword blocked the black tree that was smashing over. Meanwhile, his other hand formed a fist. Black light suddenly erupted from his hand as a punch blasted forward. Wang Yang's punch did not possess a mighty momentum. However, his fist contained a monstrous killing intent. That murderous desire was so cold that it seemed almost lifelike. The fist seemingly covered the heavens and earth as it arrived, like the punch of a death god. Bang! The black light fist heavily collided with the dragon leg, and green light and black light swept out at the same time. They were just like two fearsome evil wolves that were maniacally trying to devour each other. Bang bang bang. The ground under the two directly collapsed. Numerous enormous cracks frantically extended from their feet like a spider web. The entire arena crumbled at this moment, causing the Dao sect disciples to tremble in fear. Lin Dong's eyes were ice cold. They narrowed when he saw that his ferocious attack was blocked by Wang Yang. The next moment, he suddenly pulled back his leg. A moment after doing so, his savage and mighty dragon foot once again whizzed out. It was accompanied by numerous afterimages and a deafening sonic boom as it enveloped Wang Yang at lightning speed. The green dragon leg, which contained a frightening force, rapidly magnified in Wang Yang's eyes. Lin Dong's storm of attacks caused a ferocious aura to climb into Wang Yang's eyes. He clenched his right fist tightly before suddenly throwing it forward. Fist shadows covered the sky in front of Wang Yang. The fist shadows contained monstrous black light that surged with shocking undulations. Bang bang bang. The wind from the kick and the fist shadows finally collided all over the sky. Such power was undoubtedly earth-shaking, and the entire mountaintop appeared to tremble intensely at this moment. The surrounding stages were also shattered to dust due to the powerful resultant force. All the disciples were stunned as they watched the crumbling mountaintop. Clearly, they did not expect that the clash between the two would actually be so fearsome. Ying Xiaoxiao and Ying Huanhuan had already landed outside of the arena. They watched the clash on the stage as their expressions changed. Big sis, Lin Dong. Ying Huanhuan tugged at Ying Xiaoxiao's sleeve, some worry in her large eyes. She was aware that Lin Dong was quite powerful. However, this did not mean that he could face Wang Yang head-on. Don't worry, he knows what to do. He and senior brother Wang Yang are the same kind of person. Perhaps, in order to subdue a ruthless person like senior brother Wang Yang, one must be even more ruthless than him. Ying Xiaoxiao's eyes stared intently at dust-filled stage as she softly replied. Ying Huan pursed her lips and nodded gently. She had seen Lin Dong fight before. His ferocity and ruthlessness would never lose to senior brother Wang Yang. Every gaze contained thick shock as they observed the dust-filled stage. The stage had already collapsed, as a gentle breeze scattered the dust, rushing wind sounds hurriedly appeared. Two figures shot backwards from the dust. Their feet drew 100-meter-long scar on the ground. Everyone turned to look at the two figures that had shot backwards. Soon after, a low uproar was heard. Currently, Wang Yang's hair was in a mess. The black broadsword in his hand was tilted towards the ground, while a trace of blood dripped down from the tip of his sword. One could vaguely see numerous glaring footmarks on his chest. On the opposite end, green dragon wings had once again appeared on Lin Dong's back. The green dragon scales on his body protected him like a scale armor. Nonetheless, everyone could still see some blood on his arm. Fresh blood followed the grooves of the scales and dripped downwards. The two of them had merely exchanged blows for a split second. However, it was incomparably ferocious. Each party had left their own scars on the other. This battle was truly intense. As they gazed at the two people in the arena, who were coldly staring at each other, the breathing of quite a number of Tao sect disciples slowed. Those two were just like two fierce tigers that dominated their own grass plains. When they clashed, it could only be described as desperate. Yet, at this very moment, no one knew who would remain laughing in the end. Gales blew across the sky, causing the entire mountain peak to be completely immersed in the cloud of dust that was blown up. After the dust scattered, two erect figures stood opposite each other. Cold and sharp glints flowed in their eyes. The yuan power of the area had seemingly been disturbed, forming two distinct halves between the two. At the place where the two halves intersected, space was somewhat distorted. Lin Dong had currently pushed the green heaven materialized dragon skill to the limit. Not only did dragon scales cover his body, even the green dragon wings had appeared. From afar, he looked like a half-dragon. A faint dragon roar seemed to emerge from within his body that intimidated the heavens. Lin Dong knew very clearly that if he was to compete purely on yuan power, he would not be a match for the 9 yuan nirvana stage Wang Yang. However, the form combat took was not merely limited to yuan power. Some of the methods he possessed were enough to threaten Wang Yang. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed a little as a cold glow circulated within his pupils. Shortly after, the green dragon wings on his back suddenly flapped. As the green dragon wings flapped, the resulting gale caused the surrounding rubble to be fanned away. Lin Dong's figure turned into a series of afterimages that shot directly at Wang Yang. Wang Yang's eyes hardened slightly as he watched the afterimages that were sweeping towards him at an astonishing speed. Even he felt somewhat shocked at Lin Dong's speed. Bang! Lin Dong's figure appeared in the front of Wang Yang in an instant. His eyes were cold and sharp as his dragonized arms grabbing a black tree were raised high into the air, before suddenly swinging downwards in an extremely violent manner. Bang! The black tree had yet to land, but the ground below had already exploded due to the force behind it. With terrifying power, the black tree was violently swung downwards. However, the instant before its power reached its peak, a black broadsword enveloped by vigorous yuan power swept out at an extremely sharp angle, and thrust heavily at the black tree trunk. The point that Wang Yang had targeted with his sword was extremely crafty. He had nicely struck the point on the black tree where the energy was most scattered. Although his strength could not match up to Lin Dong's, his yuan power was vigorous without equal. With a single strike, he had directly blocked the black tree that contained a frightening force. Seeing such high power and strength made others feel astonished. Lin Dong was not the slightest bit surprised that his attack had been stopped. A grey line swiftly formed on his forehead, and a desolate demon eye appeared. A grey light beam filled with a baleful aura burst out with a swoosh and headed straight for Wang Yang's throat. Humph! Lin Dong's merciless attack caused Wang Yang to snort coldly. Two of his fingers curled, transforming into a sword aura that quickly thrust at the grey light beam. A formidable sword chi suddenly exploded, forcibly tearing the light beam apart. Swish rustle. After ripping the light beam apart, Wang Yang's black broadsword turned directly into a black storm. Formidable berserk sword chi flooded the skies as a counterattack was launched at Lin Dong. In response to such an attack from Wang Yang, Lin Dong's green dragon wings flapped and he flew into air. With another flap, he reflected numerous sharp sword chi that were shooting towards him. Quickly after, he extended his 5 fingers, as the space behind him started to crumble again. From the void, a figure from the ancient times slowly walked out. Great desolate heaven imprisoning hand. Without wasting any time, Lin Dong suddenly extended his hand, and furiously swatted at Wang Yang. Bang! Following the descent of Lin Dong's palm, the light figure within the void also sent a palm swatting down. An incomparably gigantic ancient palm imprint immediately appeared in the sky, and viciously pressed down on Wang Yang below. While the gigantic palm rumbled downwards, Lin Dong did not plan on stopping here. The desolate demon eye on his forehead opened once again, as grey light swelled and rushed out in torrents, summoning the spirit of the Huang beast once again. The soul giant eye of the Huang beast spirit rapidly opened, before a grey pillar of light, that seemingly connected the skies and the earth, shot out explosively with a whoosh. Bang bang! Yuan power frantically boiled in the skies above as the titanic palm and light pillar simultaneously descended on their target, Wang Yang. Upon seeing such an attack, the scalps of many people watching below turned numb. Humph! A serious expression flitted across Wang Yang's eyes as he lifted his head and gazed at the terrifying attacks that whizzed at him from the skies above. He thrust his broadsword into the ground, and rapidly formed a series of seals with his hands. Immediately, an astonishing fluctuation suddenly started to swell up from within his body. Sky Emperor Scripture, Sky Emperor Bell. In an instant, the Yuan power in the area showed signs of frantically gathering towards Wang Yang, before fusing with the boundless Yuan power within his body. Under the gazes of countless people, the Yuan power transformed into a gigantic ancient bell. Clang! The instant the ancient bell formed, the gigantic palm and light pillar finally arrived. Carrying along terrifying fluctuations, they smashed into the gigantic ancient bell one after the other. A loud and clear bell sound immediately resounded across the entire sky. The already messy mountain peak was ravaged once again. The huge boulders that had already broken apart were now crushed into dust by the shockwave from the collision. The formidable power unleashed by the collision was rather astonishing indeed. Crack! Innumerable gazes gathered at the sight of the collision. After suffering such a frightening bombardment, the surface of the gigantic ancient clock started to rupture as numerous cracks formed. In the end, it thoroughly exploded with a bang. Lin Dong gasped a mouthful of air as he watched the gigantic ancient clock explode, and could not help but grin as a figure once again appeared before his eyes. This Wang Yang was indeed hard to deal with. Qingyi would have long been blown away by this attack of Lin Dong. However, Wang Yang was still as steady as a mountain. This opponent was truly troublesome. Below, Wang Yang's face was like still water as the hand that grasped the black broadsword faintly trembled. While Lin Dong was secretly thinking about how difficult Wang Yang was to deal with, he was similarly secretly astonished by Lin Dong's ferocious attack. The energy used in the battle with Lin Dong was simply far more than what he had expended against Ying Xiaoxiao. After the descent of the astonishing attack, the two had strangely sunk into a brief moment of silence. During this period, neither of them launched any formidable attacks. Looking at the two stationary figures in the arena, Ying Xiaoxiao's pupils twitched before she spoke in a soft voice. Their energy expansion is too great. They have already fought many matches today. Ying Huan nodded in agreement. Senior brother Wang Yang is a 9 Yuan Nirvana stage expert. As such, it is not strange that his vigorous Yuan power has been able to support him till now. However, that fellow Lin Dong repeatedly launched such powerful martial art moves, yet he was also able to hold out till now. This is truly astonishing. Ying Xiaoxiao remarked. Exactly, that fellow is not normal. Ying Huan gave a laugh, before she felt Ying Xiaoxiao look over. Her face turned red as she hastily changed the topic. Big sis, who amongst them will have a greater chance at victory? Ying Xiaoxiao slightly knitted her eyebrows before shaking her head. That's hard to say. Although Lin Dong's attacks are fiercer, senior brother Wang Yang definitely still has his trump cards. However, Lin Dong has yet to reveal his great Desolation scripture. That fellow really loves to save his cards. True, we're always underestimating him. Therefore, the victor of this match is yet to be determined. Ying Xiaoxiao gave a sigh, however, her eyes suddenly focused the moment her voice faded. She immediately sent her gaze towards Wang Yang's direction. The latter had suddenly sat on the ground, while the black broadsword in his hand had been thrust into the ground. Next, his hand started to form an extremely strange seal. A mouthful of essence blood shot out from Wang Yang's mouth. It turned into a ball of blood and descended on his strange seal. Immediately, an extremely strange aura slowly seeped out from within his body. Perhaps this will end soon. Senior brother Wang Yang doesn't plan on delaying any longer. Ying Xiaoxiao breathed in deeply as she watched Wang Yang's strange actions. Her jade-like hands quietly started to tighten. Looks like Wang Yang was about to use his hidden card. It was unknown whether Lin Dong would be able to withstand it this time. If he could not endure, a result to this match might finally emerge. A strange aura spread from within Wang Yang's body. While this aura spread, wave after wave of black fog also swept out from within his body in all directions like a storm. The black fog quickly spread, filling half the sky. Faintly, an extremely shocking and fearsome aura was emitted from within it. Everyone on the mountain was in shock as they observed this scene. Immediately, they quietly inhaled a breath of cold air. All of them could sense how terrifying Wang Yang's attack was. It seems like the latter was planning to use his trump cards. Lin Dong was hovering in the sky. His expression was similarly grave when he saw this scene. From the monstrous black fog, he felt an extremely dangerous sensation. He slowly began to descend from the sky and landed a great distance from Wang Yang. When his feet touched the ground, the desolate demon eye between his brows flashed before a formidable grey beam shot towards the seated Wang Yang. The light beam rushed past in a flash. However, when it was still 100 feet away from Wang Yang, it suddenly disappeared in a puff. It seemed as if there was an invisible barrier around Wang Yang, protecting him within it. Wang Yang's eyes were indifferent as he glanced at Lin Dong. Promptly, a somewhat scarlet glow surged within his eyes. His rapidly changing hand seal suddenly stilled before a hoarse and indifferent voice was slowly emitted. This skill has killed 3 experts at the peak of 8 Yuan Nirvana stage and a 9 Yuan Nirvana stage opponent. Right now, you still have the chance to withdraw. Wang Yang's words had just sounded when it immediately caused the sound of cold air being hailed to ring across this mountain. His battle accomplishments were really shocking. It seems like he indeed deserves to be ranked second on the sect's wanted list. Lin Dong inhaled a deep breath of air. He immediately smiled before he inserted the black tree on his hand into the ground. Both his hands formed a seal with lightning-like speed. Senior Wang Yang, after you. Wang Yang lowered his eyes when he saw this and he ceased speaking anymore. The seal formed by his hand changed before the black light that permeated the sky began to gather rapidly. Finally, it appeared to transform into an extremely large and blurry black figure. A monstrous evil aura swept apart within the black figure and it caused the temperature of this entire place to fall. This is. On the tall stage, when Chen Zhen and the other 3 hall chiefs saw the enormous black figure formed by Wang Yang, their eyes hardened. What a powerful martial art! It seems like Wang Yang must have had a rare chance encounter over the years. This martial arts is comparable to the Sky Emperor scripture. The chief of the Sky sect Qi Lei spoke in a deep voice. Chen Zhen and the rest nodded slightly. Immediately, worry flashed across their eyes. Wang Yang's strength had even managed to take them by surprise. Therefore, they wondered if Lin Dong would be able to hold on. From his stance, the martial arts that Wang Yang learned should be the Black Demon Mirror. The one who created it was a ruthless person during the ancient times called Hei Mo. Seated in the middle, Ying Xuanzi opened his mouth and spoke faintly at this moment. He managed to see through the background of Wang Yang's martial arts in a glance. Hei Mo, the expressions of Chen Zhen's group changed slightly upon hearing this. Clearly, they had also heard of this ruthless individual, who was renowned during the ancient times. It is unexpected that Wang Yang was actually able to obtain his martial arts inheritance. Bang bang. The enormous black figure was just like a demonic body that appeared in the sky above Wang Yang. Although one could not clearly see its appearance, that evil aura that seemed to have shuttled through time and space was extremely frightening. A cluster of air that contained some black light was slowly emitted from Wang Yang's mouth. At this moment, his expression appeared to be a little pale. It was likely that using this martial arts exhausted him tremendously. He slowly raised his somewhat pale face. His scarlet-red eyes appeared extremely stern. After which, a seal was formed with his hand. His hoarse, cold and indifferent voice carried some heat as it resounded over the mountain. Black Demon Mirror, Descent of the Black Demon. Bang! Monstrous black light wildly surged into the enormous black shadow. After which, two scarlet lights surfaced on the black figure's face. They were just like a pair of bloody eyes. Immediately, the evil aura that permeated this place suddenly soared. Hiss! While this dark and evil aura spread, countless surrounding individuals suddenly felt the yuan power circulating within their bodies turn sluggish. Immediately, numerous shocked exclaims sounded out. Wang Yang's attack had yet to be unleashed, however it was already this fearsome. The shady aura within Wang Yang's eyes was also extremely violent. In the next moment, he extended his hand and aimed at Lin Dong. After which, he viciously clenched his hand. Crack! The moment he clenched his hand, the natural yuan power appeared to be forcefully shattered. After which, the enormous black figure's scarlet eyes directly locked onto Lin Dong. Vast and mighty wild yuan power actually formed a barrier and sealed off Lin Dong's retreat path. That incredibly enormous black figure strided forward after it sealed Lin Dong's retreat paths. Its palm was subsequently slammed downwards. Bang bang. Following this furious slam by Wang Yang's palm, the mountain began to tremble wildly. The land actually formed a dozens of feet large crack. Soon after, an enormous crack line that was nearly 100 feet in size surfaced from the ground. It was just like a rising earth dragon that extended towards Lin Dong with lightning-like speed. This frightening palm attack had the strength to shatter mountains. All the disciples were also shocked by this frightening momentum until they felt suffocated. At a short distance away, Ying Xiaoxiao's expression became extremely grave. That young lady by her side also had a somewhat pale expression. It was likely that not even a 9-yuan Nirvana stage expert would dare to handle this palm attack. What a powerful fluctuation! Lin Dong raised his head as he stared at that black large palm, which blotted out the sun, heading over. At that spot, he could sense an extremely rich dangerous sensation that would not scatter. He understood that even though his physical body was extremely powerful, he would definitely be seriously wounded if he was hit by that attack. My retreat paths have all been sealed. Lin Dong glanced around him. The barrier formed by the wild and violent natural yuan power had trapped him at this spot. In that case, I can only go all out and fight with you. Lin Dong muttered to himself. The cold expression within his eyes suddenly became more intense. He clenched his hand before bright red fresh blood promptly seeped out from it. After which, it swiftly transformed into an extremely mysterious obscure seal. Bang! The blood-colored seal had just appeared when Lin Dong's right hand violently landed on the ground. At the same time, a wave of extremely mysterious ripple spread out in a lightning-like speed with his body at the middle. As this ripple spread, everyone could clearly see that the originally lush green mountain top began to wither and turn yellow at a frightening pace. Even the land itself started to crack. Crack! The cracks on the ground spread with lightning-like speed. Within a short couple of breaths, this large mountain had turned withering yellow. It was as though the strength within the land had been completely sucked away. This is. Numerous pairs of eyes were the mountaintop wither in shock. Immediately, a wild and hot excitement suddenly surged into everyone's eyes. This is the Great Desolation Scripture. When the Great Desolation Scripture is unleashed, everything within thousands of kilometers will turn barren. Although it was impossible for Lin Dong to currently reach that level, he was still able to turn this mountain into barren land. He has finally unleashed it her. Even with their fortitude, Chen Zhen and Wu Dao had an excitement surging within their eyes at this moment. It has been 100 years. Finally, they were once again able to witness the strongest, most powerful martial arts in their Dao sect. It is indeed worthy of being the great Desolation scripture. Chi Lei's eyes flickered as he watched this scene before letting out a praise. He could sense that there was a majestic energy surging underground. These energy were gathering towards the skinny figure in the distance. Except for human beings, he had absorbed all the energy from the surrounding living beings. This was the most frightening aspect of the great Desolation scripture. Deep yellow energy whizzed out from the ground like a monstrous flame. Finally, it covered Lin Dong's body. At this moment, a frightening ripple was being emitted all over his body. Even Ying Xiaoxiao felt shocked. It actually is the great Desolation scripture. At a distance away, Wang Yang's eyes also shrunk because of this scene. He immediately inhaled a deep breath of air and suppressed the shock within his heart. At this moment, he finally understood why Lin Dong had the courage to oppose him. This fellow had actually successfully learnt the great Desolation scripture. This fight was going to be really interesting. This video will end here.